Hello everyone, welcome to MUSE TV News. My name is Caitlin Cook, and today we are going to be talking to world-renowned fitness expert Ilaria Montagnani about her upcoming documentary film, Stronger for Life. Stronger for Life follows Montagnani's journey as she faces a breast cancer diagnosis. In this interview, we're going to be talking to her about the process of getting the film made, as well as what it is like to see some of your most vulnerable and painful moments played back to you on screen. Without further ado, here's Ilaria. So from what I understand, you decided to turn this, your story, your journey into a documentary after you got your initial diagnosis. Is that correct?
As I was getting, actually.
As you were getting?
As I was getting, we actually taped the going to the doctor because I did not know what was going on. And it really started very organically with, I had an intuition that something was not right with me, and have almost never gone to a doctor, and always feeling that, we're strong, everything's going to be fine. Nothing is ever a problem. I come from a background of thinking if there are issues, they'll go away, that kind of mentality, which I've learned my lesson, which is part of the lesson that I want to give in the documentary, or just inspire other people to just go see your doctor. So with all of this in mind and feeling that something wasn't right, we decided to just, what if something isn't right? What if there's that one? And that's how we started, not really knowing what was going to happen, what was going to be the diagnosis, if anything was going to be wrong, and all of that.
Awesome. So what was the process of getting that off the ground? Like, how did you get your production team in line? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, first I started working with a director, a Japanese woman that takes my class, that suggested that we all suggest that she wanted to just do a documentary on my life in general, of being an instructor and, fitness and the world of fitness. And I was like, no, that's not interesting enough. I'm not a person important enough to be like, what's the point? So I was objecting to that. But when I started to feeling that maybe something wasn't right, then she said, let me just come and just, shoot you at the doctor, just in case. So that's how the process started. From there on, I've changed the team of people that worked in this project, because it turned out to be a much bigger project than we all thought it was going to be. None of us really are filmmakers. And, we just kind of worked together in developing the message and the documentary that is now.
Awesome. So a big question that I had was, what was the process of getting the production team into the hospital, the doctor's offices? Were there any was there paperwork you had to fill out because of HIPAA and everything, or was
yes,
it?
There were some, at the beginning. Yeah, it depends on where I went. All my oncology visits, for example, and everything that I did in oncologies, she did not allow any camera. The hospital didn't, so we couldn't do much of that. We could do all the blood testing and the actual surgery, and that was. But you have to clear up some stuff with the hospitals. And again, we did what we could. We knew we could tape. Some of the doctors, like when I did the genetic test, she was willing to be not on camera, but we could tape. So it depended. We just kind of played. When the part of my father being in the hospital, we were supposed to not bring a camera, and I also wanted to be respectful of him, not feeling that there was a camera on him. But we brought it anyway, and it was a handheld, and we kept it in a bag, and that's how it worked. And as soon as they told us to stop it, we stopped, and we were like, we'll do what we can.
Makes sense. What kind of budget were you working with? What did you do? Any crowdfunding or anything? How did that work?
Yeah, I had no idea. And when the diagnosis was cancer, and we decided let's embark into some sort of a documentary, I was like, how does this work? And so the first thing I did was to do a Kickstarter, and I really had no idea. And the person that was working with me at the time said, well, maybe ask for $20,000. And I asked for $20,000, which turned out to be $40,000. So we were like, oh my God, we're rich. We have $40,000. We can do a whole movie. And at that point, they were like, oh no, you can't. So with $40,000, there's no way you can do a movie, which have learned that lesson. And hence, some people departed the team. Some people came at that point. And from there, we developed a movie that was going to be over an hour. Then we started to decide, okay, now we don't have enough money, but the movie should be over an hour. How do we go about that? So we did a second crowdfunding, and I raised more money. And my community, the people that have always been with me, that have always worked out with me in New York City, in the rest of the United States, they donated. And that's how we were really able to take this off the ground.
Awesome. Was there like a final number that you raised?
Yes, we raised close to $90,000, which
90?
was,
All right.
yeah, almost 100,000, 90 something we raised. And again, because of their generosity, we really continue shooting, and we really developed the documentary that is now, as opposed to probably something that would have been a lot shorter and smaller that we had at the beginning. But it kind of, like what happened with my father, we didn't know where things were going to go. And then we said, this is going to be the end. We have to stop it. This is a story. The message comes through. We realized that the money that we raised was great, but it still wasn't enough. So I'm funding the documentary basically now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was going to ask about like, what was the time frame between you recovering from your surgery and then finding out about your father? Because I assume that after, the surgery, you kind of probably felt like it was coming to an end. This documentary filming production was, coming to an end, but then it took a whole other turn. What was the time frame?
2 months. Exactly 2 months.
All right.
And and he started out, and my father was like, I think there's something wrong with me. I think I have prostate cancer. And I was like, Dad, you can fight it. Prostate cancer, it's nasty, but we kind of like, we don't die from it. There's like breast cancer, there are cures. Then it turned out not to be the case.
And yeah, I was actually going to ask about the time frame in general. So you got diagnosed in 2016 and your father died in 2017. So was this basically like a year? It was
basically 8 months, not even a year.
Wow, only 8 months.
It was from my diagnosis to his death was 8 months. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And did you have much of a role in the post-production process?
I did. But to a certain extent. Again, I'm not a filmmaker, I'm not an editor. I am the protagonist of this movie, so I don't want to have too much saying. At the end of the day, what we did, we had a great consulting editor as the celebrity of the movie, that is Federico Rosenwitz. I've seen one of his movie, actually coincidentally, the last trip that I took to Italy, I was on a plane. And I was thinking of going to see my dad, and that's when I arrived that he was already, unfortunately, he was gone. But on that night trip, I watched the documentary on the plane out of nothing. It's called Dancer. It was an amazing documentary, and I really loved it. It was about this Ukrainian dancer. It was very famous in Europe, this documentary, a little bit. And I really loved the way it was filmed, the passion behind it, and the story. Then I go to Italy, it was my father, like that. Then I kept thinking about this movie, and I thought, no, this man that did this movie would never be interested in even, and we contacted him, and instead Federico Rosenwitz answered and said, I'm interested, I'll help you guys. So he came on board, and this is to answer you, do I have some saying in the post-production? Very little. It was mostly him and the present editor that really did most of the work. Of course, I want to make sure that the message was there, that there were specific things. But at the end of the day, if they wanted to keep some images that I didn't want to, it was their decision, not mine. I knew that I had to shut up on that.
Gotcha. That explains a lot, because I really felt like the editing was the strongest part of the film. The structure is just like, it's excellent, truly. So that makes a lot of sense. And then I think the thing that I'm most curious about is, what was it like to watch the film? What is it like to see your most vulnerable moments played back to you on screen?
Not easy. When we did a screening for all the community, we did a major screening with everybody there, and I just walked out. There are some scenes that I prefer just not to watch, and they should be there. I just don't want to put myself, I also never could really cry, and I see myself crying in the movie. That was a time in my life that I think I cried more in those 8 months than my entire life. So there are just some parts that I think is sometimes I don't want to watch. Not that I don't know them, not that my heart, not that my, my entire emotion knows them, have lived through them, but sometimes I just don't want to look at them.
Well, that being said, what is your favorite part of the movie that you've, since you've watched it?
I think it's toward the end, my favorite part of the movie. And one of my favorite part is my mom cooking the sauce, obviously, because it makes me happy. And I think any scene where there's my mom or my brother makes me happy, because I like to see them and their family. But So those are probably some of my favorite scenes, but I don't really have, every single scene has been, so much labor behind everything, every single thing that we've kept, because we actually did have a lot of footage. So it wasn't easy to, so every single scene has been like, I love it, and then eliminate it. I love it, so there's a lot of loving parts.
Gotcha. So anyone who wants to see this film, where can they get it? I think it's coming out next month, right? What's the distribution process?
Yes, so the distribution was starting on July 20th, and it's available on VOD and iTunes and all, those channels that you can get it on demand, basically Blu-ray and all of those.
Awesome. Well, that takes me through all of my questions. Was there anything that you thought would be interesting to include that I didn't ask about?
I think mostly just the message of the movie, that it's like stronger for life, and the missing part of that, because the movie is just stronger for life, is that exercise makes us stronger for life. So my intention with this, it's not specifically about cancer. I was lucky enough that I'm not dead. I mean, I know that people have in much worse situations, see my father and stuff like that, but it's more like we all have challenges. My way to deal with my challenge has always been through a physical training that strengthens my emotion. It's good to have a good biceps in the body. That's all great. And I do that but there's so much more, to that. And so if I wanted to do anything with that movie is that message, is that really it's finding a strength through physical rigorous training.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ilaria. This has been an awesome talk. Thank you for watching, everybody. And if you want to see Ilaria's documentary, make sure to check it out on July 20th when it comes out. And if you like this video, make sure to press like and subscribe. For MUSE TV News, I'm Caitlin Cook.